I can't remember what it was.
Well, carbon absorption. So I look at carbon absorption as well across tropical forests. And carbon absorption is simply how much carbon a tree is sucking in from the atmosphere. So tropical forests actually only cover 7% of the world's land surface, but they absorb 18% of human CO2 emissions. And carbon absorption is simply a tree's photosynthesis rate, so how much carbon it's sucking in from the atmosphere, minus its respiration rate. So respiration is kind of like a tree's breathing, so how much carbon it's then breathing back out into the atmosphere.
Yeah, and I think the focus on sort of trees and carbon dioxide almost always goes to deforestation. But if you look in the numbers, the actual like percentage area of deforestation is actually quite small. And so I'm guessing if you look into it, it's actually this like productivity of the rest of the photosynthesis process that really matters.
Yeah, exactly. So of course, deforestation is a huge problem in tropical forests. But my work doesn't look so much at trees being chopped down and how that affects carbon, but it looks at trees becoming more productive under climate change. So just like if you were to put a plant in a greenhouse and you were to increase the CO2 and you were to increase the temperature.
And this is what it's done. Like greenhouses have massive CO2 concentrations.
Exactly. That plant would grow faster and it would become more productive and it would suck in more carbon dioxide. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing to the world at the moment.
Right.
Pumping it full of CO2, increasing the temperature. And we're seeing tropical forests becoming more productive at the moment. And at the moment, sucking in more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere.
But you give the example of a greenhouse, which is a very controlled, like small, closed system that you can really tightly monitor. Is the world like that at all? Or is it complex, non-linear?
Of course, it is complex and non-linear. And at the moment, the increased CO2 concentration in the atmosphere is probably benefiting tropical forests on the whole. But of course, the question is, maybe are we going to reach a tipping point where maybe the nutrients in the soil can't keep up with this increased productivity because we're not fertilizing the soils as you might be doing in a greenhouse. And maybe precipitation may become a limiting factor. With warmer climates, also they tend to be drier. And we have seen some quite extraordinary droughts, especially across the Amazon over the last 20 years.
There's quite a lot of stuff happening on Siberia at the moment, I think. This isn't something I know a lot about, but I think there's some quite odd temperature waves that are happening across Siberia at the moment.
Yes, in the Arctic, actually, we're seeing fires where we've never seen fires before.